Hey everybody, welcome back to a special report here on Tabletop Misfits. Today we have the luxury of having Emily here, who is the creative designer and producer for this amazing new TTRPG that's been kickstarted, or that's on Backerkit here at the moment, and will be on there for, looks like another 2 weeks, correct?
Yeah, 12 days.
12 days, okay. Yeah, just about 2 weeks. And we're here to find out a lot about what's going on with this thing. I'll be the first one to tell you, when I saw this, immediately the artwork caught my eye. The colors, the pastel, the traditional look of this book immediately caught my eye, and it's definitely an incredible book of art alone. But there's so much more to it, and we're going to dive into that today on our special report. So before we start, Emily, just kind of give us a breakdown of what's your background, what got you into something like this, because this is a very large project for somebody in any ways.
To be doing alone. Yeah.
Yeah.
I have been making tabletop role-playing games for about 11 years at this point. This is the third, I guess, big standalone project. My first edition game was about 11 years ago. It had a second edition about, I want to say, 6 years ago. And then Gallerie has been in development for about 1.5 years, depending on where you're beginning to count your times. So it's not my first time in the pool, but I began it because I was somewhat dissatisfied with the stories that were being told in the games that I was already playing. There was stuff about D&D that I wasn't fond of. There was stuff about the settings that I wasn't fond of. It wasn't addressing just, I guess, certain narrative needs that I wanted it to address. And system-wise, I had gotten a little tired of it. At least the games that I had played. And some of them were needlessly complicated. Some of them were not necessarily enabling things that I found fun. So there was just a need. I wanted to create a thing. I had done comics before that. I had done general illustration before that. I had dabbled in writing before that. But the first jump into the deep end was the full creation of my first franchise ages back, and then we just kind of went from there. So at this point, I'm not including the hardcovers for Gallerie. There's 6 other hardcovers under the Weapons Grade Funk title that are all about 300 to 400 each.
Wow. And this is so I'm making sure I'm giving the credit where it's due. And this is a solo project?
Yeah, the writing, the design, the engineering is solo. The art is everybody. There's all sorts of art involved. All people, all different teams. I've had a lot of the same people working on all of the first franchise, which was Eccentriconus. Folks kept coming back. If you pay your artists what they ask for and you treat them well, they come back to you. So we do that, and we get returns. There's a very new team involved in this game. I just sourced other people. I was looking at other places. It's a very different look from the last one, so I do have a lot of new faces in this one. Some of them are returning, but awesome. I do have some new ones too.
Yeah, I just want, like I said, I just want to give you the credit of the fact that you've done multiple 300 plus page books by yourself, which is a lot of work and something you should be commendable for. But we're going to dive right into this because we don't have a ton of time, and I want to make sure we get as much information out of this as possible because this is your special report for this amazing project. So as we were talking before we even hopped online, this is not only just a setting book. This is everything. This is a brand new TTRPG, brand new mechanics, brand new stories, brand new tone. So for people that are looking at this book right now, what is the tone that you're setting for this book? What type of RPG is this?
The tagline that's on the front is honestly everything for this. I would look at that, and then I would sort of trust what it tells you, right? Queer stories of beauty, horror, and hope are the selling points of this particular game. What it's getting into are default narrative assumptions about its player base that are not necessarily present in other tabletop RPGs like Dungeons and Dragons, which assumes a certain default that I would call, I guess I would say, is sold as normalcy. There are certain understandings of your background, certain understandings of your relationship to your skin, your relationship to self, your relationship to others that are just kind of assumed by these settings. even your relationship to the world around you. A primary motivator in a lot of those games is currency. A primary motivator in a lot of those games is accumulating power. It really kind of depends on who's structuring the story, of course, but the game is full of items and different breakdowns of currency because it expects you to get currency and buy items with it, right? There's this
Right. Yeah.
general assumption that is being made. This particular game works off different assumptions. It is trying to tell different stories. It's telling transformative stories. It's telling self-discovery stories. It is putting you in a character that is extremely powerful already and is just discovering their power. It is putting you in a situation where you have a whole host of tools for narrating things, like neuroatypicality, like discovery of all sorts of types, anti-establishment narratives, all sorts of things that are just sort of different motivators that are present in a lot of other stories. And the tools and systems in place are designed to facilitate those stories and make them expected at the table, as opposed to a thing that you need to shoehorn in. There's a line that I have at the beginning of the book in the section that's just sort of an aside of like, this is about your author. This is what you should expect to find in this book. It just lays everything out for you so that you know what you're getting into. And one of the things that this book is trying to do is create an environment that assumes a degree of discomfort rather than forcing people who are uncomfortable to force discomfort into a setting. Because then they're trying to tell a story about their lives at a table full of people who don't relate. The opposite here is this exists to tell a story about your life with people who do relate, and that story is odd and peculiar.
Got it. Okay. So what are some of the mechanics that you've built into this game to give that feel?
There are lots depending on where you're going, right? So if you're going off of the story element, the stories that we were just talking about, these facilities, a lot of that is narrative. It's purely assumptions built by the setting of your character creation. In this case, is a discovery that you're not a human thing, or a thing called a muse that has a body that is built out of this stuff called medium. It's the quasi magical substance of the setting. And it goes deep into this idea that there is another world that is out there where various creatures are made of this stuff. And in our world, the canvas, the one that's around you right now, it can't manifest as kind of a magical element. You can't use it to cast spells. It's called sketching in this game. Everything's very art oriented in Gallerie. And you can't use that brushwork here because of certain rules that are established in this world that we're in. But because of that, everybody who generates it, which is everything that can think, really, everybody generates medium. It all just kind of accumulates in dreams and visions left untold and stories left unwritten and everything that was inspiring and beautiful, but you were prevented from doing because of some kind of system in place. Money, time, location, anything like that. It all gets locked in the back of your head as some beautiful thing that never got used. And that energy accumulates as a person at some point or another. The collective sort of dreams and hope just becomes an individual that believes that they are human because they were taught that they were human until they discover that they're not. And it follows this kind of revelation and then the descent into Gallerie. It's called slipping in this game, where they discover the other world that they're from and meet other people like them and then journey on from there. So it is a back and forth environment. You can originate at any point in the canvas. You can come from any time, any place. You don't actually have to begin as a human. You can begin as an animal. You can begin as an object. There are canon object characters that are in this game. One of them that's talked about is literally a Russian submarine. Like there's so much fun to be had in character generation to explore various aspects of the peculiarity that is being a Satian being. It's just sort of a neat piece of exploration as people begin to relate more and more with being unrelatable. And the way that this game starts off is everybody goes through this same discovery at every different point in the canvas, and they are brought together through the slip into the same place. So rather than having a uniting journey, where 10 people go into a bar, 6 people go into a bar and they see a wanted poster on the wall and they're like, okay, well, I'm motivated by money, so I guess we're all going to go after this wanted poster.
Right.
You instead have a united event in your life that is like the penultimate event that you've ever experienced. It is a revelation, and everybody falls to the same place and has that united experience together, and they journey forth from there into an unknown world. And every time that we've run a game in this game, that has been such connective tissue. People have adored this process. It's called the Prelude. It's actually structured out this way. And then you get into a group of people who need to learn about each other at the same time that they're learning about themselves, but all have this sort of united, I felt that thing you felt. To carry them forward.
Yeah. It's interesting you say that, because it's actually one of the core things I do in my games is that I make my party come up with how they knew each other before they even got there,
Mhm.
in a session 0. And part of that reason is because of what you're saying, right? If everybody's just going for money or everybody's going for power, things like that, you're really confining what you're looking for as a reason. But everybody's a part of a family, everybody's a part of the circus, everybody's a part of something, or this event, right? That you have this cataclysm, this revelation would be the best way to put it. I was going to say cataclysm
Mhm.
of the event, but it doesn't have to be. It can just be something that's very relatable to everyone. It's really cool to hear that this is something that's built directly into the process itself.
Yeah, it is intended to be played that way. Now, you can actually originate your characters in a number of different ways, but the stagecraft book, like we mentioned, this is actually 2 books, right? The
Right.
news book is kind of your player's handbook. The stagecraft book is the DM's guide, but I don't like to. I call it the table book. It is not a thing that is only available for guides.
Right.
It contains the rules that are a little more niche. They're not being used every session. Your monster statistics, all of your enemy statistics and
Yeah.
stuff, the stuff that you need to reference occasionally. So you need to have it, but maybe we don't make a 500-page book out of it, right? We split them, and then you're not having to tear up your spine trying to get to anything.
Right. Yeah. I wish they would do that. Truthfully, I'm not gonna lie. Like,
yeah. So we do that, and that gives you your breakdown for the recommended way to start your first journey, which includes this prelude and includes this event and stuff. And after you've gotten the feeling for the place and you sort of know the stories that it tells, you can then do things like, I want to have somebody start in the Gallerie, I want to have somebody start manifest somewhere else, and
yeah.
all that sort of stuff. So tons of different stories to be told, but it gives you here is the default prelude story that will bring you together in this very strange place, because it's not Tolkien fantasy. It doesn't make the same assumptions. You're not working off of species, you're working off of ideas.
Right.
So it is a little peculiar, and it does break down how to use it.
For somebody, because this is going to be something I know that other people will ask, what's the time frame that you would need to before you're getting into the game itself? Or is the prelude built differently?
So for character creation, you have 2 options. It can take you 3 minutes or an hour. Okay. The mechanics required for character creation are super simple. You're literally answering an interview question with the guide about certain opinions. I like the look of this. I like the feeling of this. I don't like these areas, and I do like these areas, and I'm pretty good at lockpicking. You're done. That is your character. I just did it. There's no math to figure out. There's no numbers to crunch or anything like that. It is all very quick and dirty. But the way that character creation is set up is intended to be done as a group, with everybody talking at the same time and everybody going through these same sets of questions together, so that you can listen to each other. Literally, one of the steps of character creation is a theme song. It is a thing called a light that actually has mechanics in game that your character can call on when they're at their highest point, when they really need additional power. They have a literal motif that will go off around them. But by going through this stuff that takes place with each other, you all get feelings for each other's character. You're like, oh no, I can listen to this song and I can see the person you're envisioning now. I can understand what this is doing, or I can hear that they don't like this, and I hear you explain why they don't like this particular setting or this particular area. You begin to get to know each other. Mm-hmm. And by witnessing each other's areas in the prelude, you get invested in each other's story. So depending on how long that conversation wants to take, it could take an hour, because everybody really likes to get into what they get into, and it's a fun conversation. But mechanically, it's exceptionally simple.
Okay, cool. What then? Because I do see there are pretty dice, so there's got to be dice rolled somewhere.
There are dice, yeah.
So when you're building the character, then, so is character creation different than the actual prelude itself?
Yeah, the prelude is your session 0. Okay. The prelude's broken into generally 2 to 3 sessions.
Okay.
The first session would be this is where you're beginning to notice things about your motif. It's an element of character creation that's just you've picked a category of feelings, so it's beginning to show up in various places in your body. You have reached a tipping point where you can no longer completely convince yourself you're human. Something is beginning to change and break. The second session, and you would be going through everybody, because again, you can start at any point you want to in the canvas at this. So you might have people in the 1800s, you might have people at the wet line, which is what we call the current time. Right. You actually can't go to the future. The current time is the furthest that things have been painted. So this is where it caps, but you can go anywhere backward. So everybody will have their moments where they're beginning to realize something's happening. There will be a breaking point that usually happens in the second session, where they will run into a situation. The way that it's structured in the books is it is a situation where you have to decide if you're going to make a choice in order to proceed. In order to accomplish something, you need to be something other than what you think you are. You are either dying and need to pull yourself back together. You need to reach out to somebody and you can't, or you are just falling apart emotionally and you can't function anymore until you accept that you are not what they say that you are. At which point you will slip into Gallerie and actually manifest, which is the second stage of character creation, which involves some aesthetic changes and additional powers. At that point, at the end of session 2, everybody's together. Session 3, you get something called an instrument and you meet the patrons for the first time, which are these kind of deific beings. And you're off on your way. You join whatever plot that you're going to join. That the guide can bring you through any of the number of different factions or any of the locations, or anything like that. But that's the basic beat for beat structure of the first kind of 3 sessions. And by that point, you've got players that are very invested in each other's stories and have some understanding of what's motivating them based on what happened to the first 2. You know each other's NPCs. You know each other's like general pressures. Which just makes it really easy to get excited when somebody's having a moment because you watched that show. You got to see that happen.
Right. Yeah. That's awesome. That is really unique. Not saying that like, have you thought about just putting a quick start for the prelude? Like, I think the prelude alone is just is gold, and I hadn't even dived into the actual story, setting and anything like that. Even as an opportunity for people to just understand how to run a character, how to write a character, because you can do that even in a Dungeons and Dragons settings where you're like, hey, you're not who you think you are, right? You're not, and your character could be that breaking point in the game itself. But
yeah, there is certainly
very unique options.
You can kind of do anything in anything. And I get a little cautious about accepting that as a reasoning behind not trying a different system. Because if I did want to do this in D&D, right? Sure, I could if I rewrite half the rules, if I change all the powers, if I change the structure, if I change the assumptions. But at that point, I've written a new game and I've still handed money to Hasbro.
Then we kind of breaking the rules at this point, right?
Yeah. So that is the justification of why isn't this a D&D add-on? Because you would have to rewrite half of D&D, and why? Make it your own thing.
Yeah, absolutely. So what then? How do the dice come into play then? I guess would be the best way to put this.
So it is using a dice system. When I say that the characters are you don't have to do any math for them, it's because it works off of temperature. So your statistics and stuff are based off of your aesthetic choices in terms of what manifestation, what motif you're picking. You're getting into different power sets based on this felt good to me and these ideas felt good to me. And I now have access to a power set that is pre-built, and I have access to a statistic set that is pre-built, but continue to be modified as I grow. So you're focusing more on growing going forward rather than making decisions up front. Your decisions up front are primarily based off vibes. The process is literally you're picking a motif, which is a series of 6 categories of different animal. You're not actually picking a species. It's more about how you feel about them. The example that I give is if I ask 3 people what a cat is, 2 people might say that cats are sneaky and 1 person might say that cats are shy. None of these people are wrong, but they have different opinions about the way that this animal works. Those opinions are what you want to capitalize on when you're picking your motif. If you're like, okay, I want a character who's in kind of the dog category. Why? It's not a species thing. It's because dogs are super energetic. And I want that element shown in this character. And that's just why you've picked it. The opinion is kind of what's driving this.
Yeah. That's awesome.
You can actually look like anything in any of the categories. I have a character right now in a running game that's in the avian category and looks kind of feline-esque. That doesn't necessarily matter. The point is that the character is a little predatory, kind of moves in a raptor-like fashion, has this kind of steely glare, and I felt that was bird-like, and I wanted to capitalize on some of those powers. So this crisscross is intended. Within that section, there are 3 manifestations that give you an additional power set and additional kind of aesthetic. Like in the dog section, we have a type of dog that has multiple heads. We have a type of dog that is this kind of aquatic predator that's this big, larger creature. We have another one that's kind of teleporting and slinky and does all sorts of things that go in and out of different dimensions. They all have different general aesthetics that you would just borrow in order to use those power sets. For instance, the aquatic one has a larger footprint, so your character is bigger. That's the only part of that character that you need to take in order to use that manifestation. You can look like anything you want to, but you have now said that I'm going to be larger because I'm making use of this power set. From that, you are on your own. You can make yourself look like whatever you want. You can manifest in any way that you want to. It's just requiring that you have whatever base requirement is there to just use the power set available to you. The canine has multiple attacks because it has multiple facets of its head. It's got three heads and stuff like that.
It's got multiple facets of itself.
So you can do that however you want to. You can have spectral versions. I have a character that has them in their shoulders. I've seen other characters that actually did the split neck thing. It just depends on how you want to do it. And all of those decisions are what make it interesting, because as they encounter each other, they're kind of like, this wasn't a thing you were born with. This was how you manifested. This is a choice your medium made in order to become. So there's a story behind all of it. And you get to change and exchange those stories.
No, that's awesome. And very unique, very, very unique. I've played a lot of TTRPGs in my life, and there's some elements of this that I've never heard of, which is incredible.
There's so much fun that's done in it. I've had stories in this game. If I'm going to emphasize anything about what Gallerie has allowed, it is stories that I've never seen told anywhere else. It has been exceptionally fun to see what people build with this. I had a character who, or somebody who was testing the game, built a character who started their life as a Benelli shotgun. That was actually where the character began, and we watched this consciousness emerge from nowhere and begin to realize that it was locked up and start intercepting streams of thought about how it was always used as this tool of destruction, and actually have feelings that felt contrary, to the point that the only way it could change its fate was to manifest as something else. Like there was there's all kinds of fun stories told from this. I've had characters that started as statues. I've had characters that started as fragments of other people's personalities that didn't want to be in them anymore. We had a conversation between two of Benelit the other night, and a really, really cool moment live on stream, where both of these characters have multiple personalities, and they're trying to reconcile how they differ, and are talking to each other with just various conversations about plurality, and had this live switch that take place as different people entered and left the scene from the same bodies. And the bodies can actively change. They're made of medium. They can morph to be whatever it is that this new person is. So there's just all kinds of really cool stories that can be told that are deeply emotional to people who have nowhere else to tell them. This is not a thing that is really easily facilitated in other games that make the assumption that you're just going to be a person who was born and you're shaped by the stuff around you, as opposed to somebody who has been fundamentally at odds with the things around them all this time.
Yeah, that's very story. Deep. It's very unique, and exciting to hear, because like I said, I think we fall into the puzzle sometimes where everything kind of feels the same. Everything starts feeling very similar, and you have to dive very far out of a project in order to feel something different. This is definitely that type of mentality where you're diving way outside of the normality, which is incredible, an incredible task to take on, and you've done a phenomenal job.
Thank you.
Absolutely. We're gonna show off some of this stuff. So those that are in the chat room right now, we're gonna pop it up on here real quick, and I'm gonna show some of the stuff that we're seeing. So right now we're on the Kickstarter's page. You saw up in the corner there was an amazing set of content. So for those that are interested, because even I'm tracking this thing pretty heavily right now myself. Some of the Backerkit tiers. What are we looking at getting out of this? What if somebody starts investing?
There's honestly so much cool stuff that's in here. It's the biggest set of add-ons that I've ever had in a Backerkit, or in a crowdfunder before. This is actually my first time using Backerkit. The other ones were all done in Kickstarter, but this is the first dive into this particular venue, and the add-ons are a ton of fun. If we go through them, some highlights that I'm fond of. There's dice. Dice are always popular. It's not my favorite one, but they're there. So if you're a dice collector, there's dice present. There's a desk mat that uses this beautiful full color cover wrap that is available. That was made for the core rule book by Gaki. Gaki also did the cover wrap on the second book, the Stagecraft book. So both of those books match each other in a really beautiful way.
Awesome.
Dice trays, general utilities. I think some of the ones that are more interesting. There's a plush that is a really sizable critter. Hang on, I got it right here.
Really sizable critter.
Yeah,
Yeah, he
super
is.
fun. Yeah. This is a gossip. This is a type of notion. So this is a creature that is made entirely of medium. It basically embodies an idea. You are playing a muse, which is another type of notion. They're just kind of a more advanced one. Mm-hmm. Think the human and the dog are both animal kind of thing. A muse and a gossip are both notions kind of thing.
Right.
But this guy is available in it, and it's super fun. These particular critters are very fond of sound, so they've got a speaker that's kind of built into their face. They will go out and listen to things, and then they will chirp sound back at people, and their whole goal is to make more sound, so they will often repeat things that they shouldn't in order to get people to yell, which is where they got their name from. There is a full miniature set that is available with this. It's as an add-on, you can get all the STLs for them, and at the higher tier, you could actually get them printed. They are, if I dare toot my own horn, very pretty.
Absolutely. Hold on, let me flip back to the normal so you can see that. That is awesome.
I don't know if I can really get them looking too good in the end. Yeah. We print at the game uses a square grid, and the squares are 3 foot as opposed to 5 foot. So the miniatures are printing at around 45 millimeters, which just gives them extra detail. Just makes them have a little bit more presence on the board. I love miniature war games. The reason why both of my games have miniatures in them is just because I like small people. They're just fun to play with.
Absolutely.
But when it came to the scale, I was a little frustrated with the fact that I had tabletop miniatures in the 32 millimeter scale in a game that only had 10 minis on a board. They just we have so much space, make them larger, make them prettier.
Yeah.
So this one prints at about 45, and I think it really just kind of does a lot for how much you get out of the miniature, right? There's really cool stuff taking place in a lot of these. It's also because the characters that you're dealing with have multiple square sizes and sometimes smaller than square sizes. So many of the muse options can be rather small. There's ones that are based off insects. There's ones that are based off of just smaller critters. And in order to get detail in them, I wanted to have a larger scale.
Gotcha.
So that all is in that. There's tearaway character sheets. There's a little standee. Hopefully more than one at some point. But acrylic standees, if you want desk models and stuff like that, are available as well. So all kinds of just really cool things. If you want to get into this as a thing that you are increasing your already sizable collection of fun nerd toys.
Absolutely.
We have them.
Looks like you've got a good some maps. Looks like you've got both of the books, which are incredible alone, and they're hardback. Let's say that first. Hardbacks are such a daunting task as is, and you're getting 2 of them for a very good deal. And like I said, we talked about this earlier, but we're excited that you were able to actually complete your that you were able to push past the Kickstarter goal, and now we're driving into some of those stretch goals.
Here's hoping we can there's all kinds of cool stuff in the stretch section. So I'm really hoping this final push here, as we get to the final third of the project, gets us to some cool things, because it would be really nice.
Digital character tools. I mean that alone is a big deal nowadays.
There is a system in the game for brushwork, which is your magic system essentially, where each character is capable of painting with brushwork. They're made of medium. They have this ability to do this. The way brushwork works is you are assembling strokes that you've received while playing into different combinations to create larger and larger, more powerful things. There's hundreds of them that are available, and you can combine them with the people around you. So if you know a stroke but you don't know its companion, but your friend does, the 2 of you can paint together to create the overall effect you're looking for. You can leave them hanging in space. You can add additional ones. They layer. Each of them collaborate in order to make larger and larger abilities. And that can be a little hard to coordinate, but it's really neat in terms of what do we have as a party that we can do? Well, we can access this extremely powerful thing that we're going to lose if one person falls over. So watch out, guard this, do that.
Right.
It's a whole conversation that takes place. And there's a digital tool that I'd love to put together that just kind of compiles those for you, so that you're not having to manually keep track of them.
Yeah.
So that's one of several things that I think having a few different spreadsheets would be useful to have.
Yeah, we have draft rules, additional bookmarks, Roll20 sheets, mass printing, new standees, new adventures, and then from there the sky is the limit.
Drafts are a thing that I would really love to get into there. The draft is mentioned in the lore. When you manifest, there is an aspect of you that is left behind. It is the specific idea of what everybody else saw before the real you just kind of left, and manifested as this other thing. The medium that creates you is more than you essentially require, and the excess turns into the kind of person that everybody else kind of thought they saw. And it has all the powers and abilities that you have and various other abilities that other nightmares would have, which is just a powerful type of notion. And there's a ton of story in that because everybody's is different. There's all kinds of different takes on what your draft might look like depending on who might have been involved in it. So it becomes a sizable portion of the book. It also needs its own artwork. It also needs its own stats and all that stuff. So that's why it's not in there by default. But I would love to get it in there because it is lore-wise one of my favorite elements of running into. Everybody really looks forward to facing their draft when it comes up, because that is a specific element of their past that they have to kind of like reconcile with.
Yeah, that makes sense. Especially like you said, when you kind of are breaking away from a person, so then you're leaving that person behind. That's really neat. Any other specifics that we want to dive into today? I want to make sure we hit those. I know you sent me over the PDF, so we have some access to full content.
Yeah, if you'd like to highlight a few things, I can tell you about the dice system and just basics of how things work. It's really easy.
Do you know what page that's on?
Yeah, let me pull it up on my end really quick.
No, I'll pull it up and then we'll show the audience so that everybody can see this.
If we go through the Muse book is where we'll start. 2-book test. Muse. Here we go. I recommend moving it to a 2-page view if you can. All of the stuff that I write is intended for 2-page spreads.
All right, let me see if it'll let me do that. View, show, that's outline. I'm looking at it through the Google Drive, so I'm trying to figure out how to make it so it's 2-page.
Oh, yeah. I think there's a thing on the right.
Push it back. No, I'm just shrinking it. That one doesn't help.
I've done it. I know it's doable. I just can't
remember
how.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure that out too. No, file. Show. Nope, that's outline. That's not what I'm looking for. Tools, no. Help, no. No, right now I'm only getting it on 1 page. So I don't know how to do that from 2-page on here. What page are we looking at though? And we'll try to do as much as I can on the 1 page while I try to.
Okay. I mean, yeah, you can still use it. It's just for the folks at home, when you get these PDFs, if you have the screen space, I recommend looking at them in spreads. A lot of the pictures are spread over 2 pages.
Yeah.
I generally design with the intent of print, so I try to put things with the expectation of having a spread open.
Absolutely.
If you just want an example of how things work, why don't you hop over to page 67? This is going to give you a basic motif sheet, specifically for the Equine motifs.
Make sure that I'm on the right page. 66 and 67.
Yeah, one of them should have a bunch of circles on one side, and the other
Yep.
one's got a bunch of stuff. So if you go to the page that has a bunch of circles on it, it says Equine and has those circles on there.
There we
When you're
go.
picking your character motif, you're picking from a series of 6 different general categories of essentially opinions on animals. And again, the reason that we're picking animals is just approachability. You can't actually begin as anything that you want to in this game. It's just that if I had you pick a bunch of opinions on cars, we'd kind of niche it a little harder, right? This is where we used for approachability. But the stats that are written on here are default stats that you get when you essentially buy into this motif.
Okay.
And you can, from here, you'll grow. In fact, if you look on that chart on the bottom, you'll see a bunch of level breakdowns. And each time you can see that you'll get a proficiency point, initiative, or medium, bunch of different things that you're getting as you grow. So your character does develop over time, but you don't have to figure out all that development right now. You can figure those rules out as you're going. The way that I tend to like to develop is to make it so that each time you encounter a new rule, you're encountering it in kind of a sequence, and you don't necessarily need to get bombarded with it up at the front. When you're going to make a check in this game, it's 2d10, and you're combining a stat and a proficiency. So if you look on the right, you'll see 3 stats. They'll be mind, body, and community. And each one of those stats has a separate category: exert or perceive. So there's mind exert and mind perceive, body exert, body perceive, etc. Exert is your do it stat, perceive is your notice it stat. So if I'm ever asking you to do a thing, then you're going to use exert. If I'm asking you to notice a thing, you're going to use perceive. And when we're going along, we just decide what it is that we need. I need you to jump over something. That is a body-based action. So use body exert because you're doing it. And then you add a proficiency to it, like a skill on the left-hand side. The one that would be appropriate is athletics.
Right.
So you'll have body exert plus athletics plus 2d10. And that's it. That's your check system in a nutshell. You're aiming for 16.
Okay.
The other thing that is built into the check system that is honestly one of my favorite mechanics in the game is a thing called twisting. Twisting allows you to use the medium that you are made out of to literally alter fate. You can pick any kind of check that you want to do, whether it's an attack, whether it's defense, whether it's doing a skill check, whether it's anything that you want, really. And you can roll an extra d4 by spending a medium. And that is just you saying, I want to use myself, I want to use my command of my body to manipulate this situation. But the cool thing about twisting is, aside from just boosting your dice roll, it's also a narrative opportunity. When you're using medium, it's visible, right? So depending on how it is that you manifest it, you don't have to. You could manifest it audibly. There are people who sing for their medium. There are people who paint with their medium. It really depends on how you're expressing.
Right.
It's a metaphor for just kind of using yourself to do a thing. But by doing this, you commit in a witnessable act that describes a little bit about how your character actually is. So if I want to pick a lock and I roll for it and I get a little low and I say I want to twist it and I succeed, I have to then explain what my medium has done. Has my medium broken the lock? Has my medium wrapped around it and twisted it off? Has my medium turned into a tiny lock pick and just gotten in there and done something really fine about it? Like, my personality shows off in how I twist a roll.
I understand.
And every time you do it, you get an opportunity to kind of reaffirm to the people around you, what sort of person is this? Is this somebody who like brute forces a thing? Is this somebody who will make very intricate little designs in order to get into a thing? Do they compel it in some way? Twisting is an opportunity to show off the essence of your overall personality in physical action in the game. Which is also super fun with all the manifestations, because you, again, don't have to manifest as anything remotely human. You can manifest as quadrupedal, you can manifest as tiny, you can manifest as large. Your character can have any degree of size within the overall like animal family that they're in. So as if you picked an equine character and you had, say, a Rayu, which is kind of like a Pegasus, as your overall manifestation, you could manifest the size of a Clydesdale as a human if you wanted to. You could just be 9 feet tall. Or you could manifest as the size of like a little show pony, and that could just be your character. As long as you're staying within the general family of horse, that is the size categories that you have available. And these are not one of the core components to the powers in this game is that almost nothing in here is limited. There's no once per day to any of it. You can do that as many times as you want to as part of your character's personality.
Mhm.
And that leads to these really fun interactions that we get into where people are just kind of showing half their emotions by how they're appearing in the moment.
Right.
They'll get small when they're intimidated. They'll get large when they're trying to change. Otherwise, they will if somebody wants to flirt, they will actively manipulate their height, which is just a fun insight into how they're thinking or how they feel. Right? It doesn't necessarily provide any bonuses or negatives. There's no system to it. It's an opportunity for people to narrate their interaction with the world, and then for other
Right.
people to ask about it. Why'd you do that? What made you do that? That you get into a conversation
Mhm.
about how it works. And that's been really fun. I really enjoy that all the characters that you see on the right that are attached to motif are not things that you're limited on. You can just kind of keep using them. And manifestation works the same way. If we go to one of the manifestations, I'll scroll you down to
Yeah, I'm just scrolling through them, like feline. So it looks like we've got or equine, feline, canine,
should be
insect,
avian, insect, yeah, and reptile.
yeah,
Mhm.
and avian.
And then in each one of those, there are 3 other categories for the manifestation. So if you go to page 91, you should see one on the side here that says Kishit.
Yes.
Yeah, so this is a manifestation example.
Okay.
You'll see a whole new set of powers that happen on the off levels, so there are no dead levels in this game. You're getting something new every time. And these sets of abilities are available to you all the time with almost no limitations, provided that you are manifested. There is a difference between motif and manifestation. Manifestation is kind of a more concentrated form, but you are, again, not limited on that. It is purely how you're feeling. Are you a character who wants to be as boldly visible at all times as they can be and is fully manifested all the time, or do you dial it back? Why do you dial it back? Are you embarrassed, or are you trying to hide something? Are you trying to be sneaky? Is it just something that you feel is a little excessive? Like each of these decisions are not governed by system; they're governed by personality, and that makes for a more interesting interaction. I feel, as somebody who is trying to write specifically a story that is about personality as opposed to being about kind of optimizing a character build.
Right. Yeah. No.
And I value crunchy systems. HSD is a fairly crunchy system. I again have played a lot of war games. I think those games are fun. It's just not a thing that I wanted to build with this. This game is about a different thing. So there is a full combat system in here. It has plenty of granularity to it, enough to have very exciting combats and cool boss fights, but it is really easy to pick up and you can do it live. You don't have to research any of it ahead of time. And it's very easy to go from your first level to your last one, because every time you're leveling up, you've just got, there's a list of what do I get? I get 1 motif power and 1 instrument power. Cool. I'll look at those. That's what I got.
Nice.
That's my new thing. Add it to the archive.
Yeah, you said you get 1 motif, and then what was the other thing? You said
the instrument, which is the thing we haven't gotten into yet.
Oh,
the
okay.
instrument is a thing that is given to you by the patrons when you arrive in Gallerie. It's their way of kind of like hoping to convince you to serve them. The patrons are a whole story element on their own. They're very fond of muses. They are these kind of extraplanar beings that supposedly created the Gallerie. And they have certain rules governing their behavior that stops them from being able to fully blackmail or coerce you, but they will absolutely try to gain your affections through little bits of bribery. And when the game begins, they will give you a thing called an instrument, which is some key element of your character's past in most cases, something that they were very fond of, that has now been painted by a patron, which grants it special powers. So that is a third step of character customization that gives you another variable power set. So as you're building, you've got 3 major categories: your motif, your manifestation, and your instrument.
Very cool. And it's, I like the fact that it just stacks upon. So it's not like you're rushing into somebody understanding all this, has to understand all this stuff up front. It's over time they're starting to reveal, and they're starting to understand, and they're starting to know more about themselves.
Which their discovery is intended to be alongside with their character. As the player is learning it, the character is learning it. And it's not that they're getting, new, I'm going to press 3 on my keyboard and I get an ability that has a 6-second cooldown on it. It's that I have learned how to express with the medium that I have, and I can now express in this fashion. So part of the motivation for having these abilities be things that you can keep using is you're not supposed to be just using them for combat any more than your hands are a thing that you only use to smack people. Right. Each of these are a way to stretch yourself and be creative with how you're playing your character and having a good time with it. And the world that you're interacting with responds in kind, which I think is really interesting because it highlights different interpretations of what a person is. Muses are monstrous. They call themselves a notion in most cases, but depending on where you are in Gallerie, you'd be classified as a nightmare, which is a very powerful type of notion. Not everyone believes that a muse is a person. Some people just think it's a type of nightmare that specifically tries to get into people's heads and convince them that they're people. It really depends on how horrible the place is that you're in. And as muses learn to express with medium, as they learn to extend it as just variable assets of their body, as they have a nearly bottomless well of it available to them, two other notions to themselves, they're just playing. This is a thing that they can use to grab a glass from a table or paint a picture with or create with or be fully fledged people with. But if they're in the wrong place, somebody is going to interpret it as waving a gun around because it's the same kind of magic that blows cities up. So it just sort of depends on who you're interacting with and where they are. And it really, because again, you are not playing a person in this. You get to deal with this idea that your very existence is a threat to people and how to reconcile with that. It's been a very fun journey.
Yeah, it's a very interesting journey. So making sure that I'm kind of understanding is part of this. Once you become a muse, you're almost pulled out of the everyday world. Is that what I'm getting at?
The way it's structured in the book is that a thing called a slip will open up, which is the patrons bringing you in, and that you will slip into Gallerie, and that will bring you into this world. That is also stated in the book that is not a necessary plot element.
Okay.
You also have ways back and forth to the canvas. So you can absolutely play in both places if you want to. So what you would do ideally is you talk to your party and say, hey, what adventure do we want? Do we want to deal with Gallerie issues? Do we want to deal with canvas issues? Do we want to deal with both? Do you want to hop back and forth? Do you want to go time jumping and go into different places or check out different dimensions? All these things can be done. The game was actually structured to allow a good narrative reasoning for any character from any other game to join it if you wanted to. So if you had a D&D character that you were like, well, I really enjoy this character's personality, but they're dealing with some inner turmoil that this game just isn't about, that I can't show with these rules and that this table isn't really here for, that character can slip. They could discover that they were a muse all along and just pop in from a different canvas that had a different reality attached to it. And then you can go on this adventure if you wanted to, which has been a lot of fun for a lot of different people.
That's really neat.
Yeah, it's been very exciting to see take place.
For somebody that was looking at this, maybe they're kind of on the fence of, do I get it? Do I not? If you had to say in less than 15 words, or let's say 1 minute, of what this game is to you, what would you say?
It really depends on who you're talking to. What this game is to me is an opportunity to be very bold and very clear about what it is that I'm trying to represent and help. This game is extremely unapologetic about its queerness. This game is very open about who it's trying to help. It's got a full 2-page spread right after the intro in the beginning, talking about the stories it's trying to tell. And I think its existence on its own, just based on responses I've gotten from other people and the opportunity that people playing it have had to explore stories that I haven't seen explored in other games before, is justified because it isn't really out there all that much. There aren't a lot of things trying to tell these stories, and there are even fewer things trying to tell these stories as specifically deliberately as this one is. It should exist because it needs to, is sort of the bottom line with that one. In terms of a more generic approach, I think if your experience with media is that you have watched Beauty and the Beast and you've watched every other vampire and werewolf movie, and people turned into thing and they went, oh God, I've been cursed. And the entire movie is, oh God, I gotta get rid of this curse. And then the curse goes away and you're all like, yay, we're de-cursed. And you sat there in audience and went, well, that's dull. You lost all the shit that was cool about you. This is your game. You are not decursed in this game. You are manifested in this game. You find your reality in this. It is very about becoming the monster. and celebrating the beauty that is that. So that is a definite draw if you're looking for that kind of thing, because you will not be, unless you want your narrative to be specifically kind of discovering or the feeling of trying to escape a thing that is just you, which is a very deep narrative that I've seen people go through.
Right.
The game itself is celebrating the beauty of being different.
Yeah.
It's very much about pushing that idea of this isn't a thing that you have been cursed with or a thing to escape. This is the solution you found to a world that didn't make sense. You don't become a muse, you figure out what you've been.
Yeah, that's extremely deep, and hopefully it will give a lot of people. One thing I've always loved about tabletop gaming is it does give us that opportunity to see through a different lens that we aren't looking through right now, and this game takes that to a whole new level. Everything we've talked about in less than an hour, and I've already seen that this game takes this to a whole different level, and I hope that so many people notice that in this game when they play.
That's the hope. We have tons of footage if people want to see it too. I can send you the YouTube links if you want to pass them up on Twitch or anywhere else to go to. But there's actually buckets of footage of this game in play. There's lots of streamed episodes. There's whole breakdowns on the rule systems that are really short 4-minute videos about how check systems work, how combat works, all that stuff. So if you're somebody who really wants to check your systems before you get into it, that's all laid out for you. There's stuff about the thought processes that went into development. There's stuff about just examining the different text. Like there's a ton of footage. It's all available through the updates on the Backerkit. If you check the updates, there's an update in there that has them all listed. And then I can pass them up to you if you'd like.
Absolutely, yeah. What we'll do is we'll put those in the description, and when this goes up on YouTube, we'll make sure that people can see those as well when they're looking at it. This has been a wonderful special report here. One thing I've always loved about the special report is it really gives us an opportunity to dive into a project in its wholesome with the creator, because there's something about the passion that drives these projects by a creator that you don't see every day. I love Tabletop for that reason alone. It's a community-based content. It's developed by people who want to be creative and want to tell an amazing story. And there's really no other way, in my opinion, this is the best medium to do so, is through tabletop gaming.
I mean, I've stuck with it for as long as I have because I think it's special.
Yeah.
I think there is something very unique to this process. And this game specifically was designed to capitalize on the things that I find most exciting about it, which are just telling the sorts of stories that show how much somebody cares about that story.
Yeah.
Which is why this game focuses so hard on self-actualization and the stories that lead into the characters themselves, because when people get to tell the stories that they've been scared to tell at other tables, they get really passionate about it. We get some really neat stuff that pop out of that.
Wonderful. Like I said, if you haven't checked this out yet, go check it out. I'm going to drop it again once more in the chat room, just so we make sure everybody who's been popping in or who might have just popped in gets a chance to check this out. Emily, thank you for taking your time to hang out with us this afternoon so we could show off this amazing book and project.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. Yeah,
of course. Like I said, if you haven't had a chance to check out the Backerkit, make sure you go do so. This is another special report here on Tabletop Misfits. Look forward to more throughout the year, as this has been an opportunity for us to share incredible stories and projects that are happening here within the space. Of course, if you're looking for full versions of this, you'll check those out on Wednesday nights as we do our normal Tavern talks, and hopefully we'll have Emily in here later this year for that. We're just a little backed up right now. We're just a little backed up at the moment.
As soon as you get the chance, I'd love to do it. Yeah.
So of course, I'd love to have a full conversation with you about everything that you've done throughout this space, and some of the passions that I really felt through this project. I want to dive into those because those are exciting as well. So do you have anything left you would like to say before we close down this special report?
Just that if it hasn't fully kind of hit the gravity of the situation in terms of general economy and production right now for the folks that you're watching, I'll lay it out for you really quick. It is exceptionally difficult to create and also compete in this environment right now. There's so much money from the higher ends, and there's so much more that can be accomplished by smaller teams, that the smaller and smaller you get, the harder and harder it gets. And all the full-time side jobs that are required to make a project like this, the marketing, the reaching out, the networking, all those things all require the same person. So when you are, this is my marketing team, this is my layout team, this is my design team, this is my testing team, this is, I do have folks that test with me, and I do have folks that draw with me, but everything else that goes into something like this is being done solo. It takes huge amounts of money, it takes huge amounts of time, and it's really difficult to do on your own. So if you want to support somebody who isn't a $13 billion company, look around for people like me who are trying to make this work in here, because we're the ones who care about the stories.
Yeah.
We're trying to make the things that allow you to tell the stuff that you want. We are the small communities trying to represent those small communities. Your help, even if it's just spreading the word, is essential. I can reach 3 people. You can reach 3 people. They can reach 3 people. Together, we reach more people. So I would absolutely appreciate, if you love art, if you love minority stories, if you love all kinds of different things that are featured in this, please just help spread the word if you can't support. And if you want to give $30 to somebody, consider giving $30 to a small creator as opposed to Hasbro. They have $30, I assure you.
Absolutely, 100%. And $30 is nothing for a lot of people. $40 gets you all 4 or all 3 PDFs, which gives you more than enough opportunity to get into the game. Mm-hmm. But the artwork is so pretty, so you want that on your wall. So yeah. I'm just saying, thanks once again. I hate to close this down. This has been such a wonderful conversation.
Thank you.
And
I had a great time.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And of course, come back on Wednesday as we come back for our main show. And who knows? Like I said, Emily will probably be back later on this year. This, of course, is our special report here, talking about Gallerie, which is queer stories, beauty, horror, and hope. TTRPG here on Backerkit. Go check it out. We'll see you guys all next time for another special report. Good day. Nope.